we're going to be talking about less than lethal personal defense options. And that'll be coming up next on Minuteman Preparedness. Hey, so welcome back to Minuteman Preparedness. So today we're going to jump into the world of less than lethal items you can utilize for personal protection. So one of the main and the big ones a lot of people have, and you'll see them dangling from their keychains and shoved in their purse or in their pocket or in the door of their vehicle, is pepper spray, or OC spray, which is what it's known as because OC stands for oleum capsicum, which is a type of pepper that's utilized in pepper spray. So I don't have one of these as an example, but you do have the little teeny ones that come. You can hang them on your keychain. That's okay, but those canisters are extremely small, and I don't care what anyone tells you on the packaging. They're going to tell you how many sprays and how long you'll be able to depress the trigger for. A lot of that is I wouldn't go a whole lot with that. So what I like using, which is a tad bit smaller, and it's a really great company, and I keep this in my pocket quite a bit, is a company called POM, P-O-M, and it has a pocket clip on it. They make a lot of different varieties and styles and colors of cases, but this one's really nice. The flip button is under a nice cover, so it can't be accidentally depressed, and it has a nice pocket clip, so it slides into your pocket easily, and you don't really notice it's there. It's about the size of a smaller flashlight, and it's just a really nice small option to have. But again, you're not going to get a crowd of people away from you. You might deter, one or two people or get someone off of you, but there's not a whole lot in this can. So what we carried where I work, and a lot of agencies carry this, is the MK3 canister. So it's a little bit taller. Typically, you'll see it on law enforcement right around in this area or over here in a smaller case. You can get a lot more bang for your buck with one of these. Yeah, they're a lot bigger. So you can't really conceal these like you can one of these. You can see the size comparison there. So, it's a lot bulkier, but, to go in the door of your car, if you're a female, your handbag, a book bag, something like that, you may not be able to get to it super quick, inside of a book bag or something like that. But if you wear like a fanny pack type deal, this is always a great option. Now, they do make another variant of this. It's the same, near about the same size, but it's called the MK4 canister, and it's about that long. It's a couple inches longer, so you do get a lot more spray with these. Now, talking about OC spray, a lot of people don't realize there's different types and actual patterns of the OC spray. So, like this one here, and what we carried at my agency is a string. So whenever you depress the trigger under your safety cap here, it's going to come out in a straight string, kind of like your garden hose if you have it on that real thin string. When you pull it, it's very small. This is what we utilize because it won't affect a lot of the people in the surrounding area, but you do have to remember several things if you're utilizing a string OC spray. One, if you're too close and you utilize this, you can actually do some damage to the eyes because the pressure in the canister is pushing that out. It's like a needle effect to the eye. So it could cause a little damage, but you do get a longer distance with a string spray, and you won't affect as many people to the other sides of them, to the left and right of them. They do make several other variants. One is a cone. So with that, and I've never utilized one of those, but when the spray comes out, instead of being just a straight string, it comes out and it kind of fans out a little bit like a cone shape. So you can cover more area of a person's face with that, whenever you come through and you do your tea spray, you can cover more area, but with that, it's going to be a shorter distance you're going to have in between you and the other person. And you can also affect people more to the left and right, because as that cone comes out, it's going to gradually get larger and expand. And so if the individual's further away from you, the least likely you're going to get more of the OC spray in their face. They may just get some little pelted areas here and there, but you could also affect others to the left and right that you're not purposefully attempting to utilize this device with. They also make another one, which is a foam. So whenever it comes out and it's like an expanding foam. And then they make one that is a gel, which is kind of similar to the foam, but the foam expands. The gel just kind of comes out and it doesn't really expand. The gel is great for using in indoor conditions. Say you were inside of a smaller room or something like that, and you're aiming for this one person, it's going to come out and get them, and as you're spraying your O or your T across them, you're going to contaminate that area of their face, but you're not really going to affect people to the left, right, or anything like that. But you do have to bear in mind, with gel and foam, this is one reason why we never utilized it at my agency. You can actually get it and swipe it off, and they could toss it back towards you instead of the liquid with the stream or the cone. They're not going to be able to do that. The difference in the foam and the gel, the foam just kind of expands. The same with that, like I just stated, they can swipe that off. Yeah, that area is going to be contaminated, but they could still swipe it off, and possibly toss it back at you. So then you come into the little bit larger area. I have a smaller canister of OC spray, and this is a 8.1, a smaller one here. You just pop this cap off, and then to press the trigger, you can hold it and spray. This is crowd control type deal. I keep these in my vehicles and in my active shooter bags. And this is going to be what they call a fogger, so kind of like the cone. Whenever you spray either of these, it's going to come out, and it's going to contaminate a large area all around. So this isn't something you would necessarily want to use targeting one individual in a crowd, unless you have multiple individuals coming at you at the same time. Then these are a great option. But do bear in mind, if utilized in a crowd, you're going to affect a large portion of that grouping of people. This is the same as that 8.1. This is just a 10.2. It's bigger, and it has like the fire extinguisher or like a pistol grip. This one here, like on a fire extinguisher, and I've got this strap around it because I keep this also in my vehicle mounted in a holder behind the seat where I can just reach behind me and pull it out. You just pull this pin and depress your trigger here at the top, and you just aim it, and you can just work your way around. Really great for crowds. If you're caught up in something big and there's a lot of attackers coming at you, then these two are going to be great options for that. You're just going to get a little bit more bang for your buck with this one, and the ability to actually hold it firm and sweep back and forth is going to be really nice. So we'll come over here to batons. So we have a smaller one here, and this is like a little 12-incher. It's from a company called Monadnock, and you can swing it up or down and it'll expand. Very small. It has a hardened tip at the top, and the reasoning for the hardened tip, unlike another one here I'll show you with the asp, is the larger the tip, so it expands that force in a larger area instead of a small tip. And with the smaller tip, you can tend to injure that area more. If you hit it, this spreads it out a little bit, also kind of opens up that area of impact, but you're less likely to actually do a lot of harm. This one here is pretty nice. you just press it at the top and push it in. I put a little piece of 550 on it so you can wrap your thumb through it, give it a little spin and hold on to it. Sometimes this stays in my truck door. Sometimes I'll just throw it in my pocket and just leave the little 550 hanging out so I can just pop it out with my thumb. But it's not something I carry a lot. You're not going to beat off a crowd, but you know, you could utilize this, you know, to get a pop on somebody, or to actually use it and, you know, jab them and knock them back. Now on the little bit of a larger area, you have a 16-inch asp baton, and I do have the asp clip on it there. So you can put this in your back pocket, and that clip will hold it in there, and you can drop your shirt over it. Let me slide that out the way. You can drop your shirt over it, and then when you need to deploy it, you can just grab it because that clip is holding it up. Instead of without the clip, this thing will just kind of flop around in your back pocket and be all over the place. And little simple flick of the wrist, not completely over my head the way you're supposed to do it, or down, but whatever. As I was talking with the tip, if you can see that there, that tip is a lot smaller. So on impact, there's a lot of force going through that extremely small area. A lot more likelihood of doing a lot more injury to somebody. But these are nice. This monadnock is push button, so you can pull it out and then push the button. This is an older school asp, so it's what they call friction lock. So once you pop it out with force, you have to hit it on the ground several times to close it, or you can pop it once and then just close it with your hand. But I used to carry this quite a bit in my back pocket. It really just stays in my truck door. And then this is what I carried at work. This wasn't agency issued or authorized, but it's the same length, and I liked it. It was a lot better. It's the monadnock auto lock with the handicap at the end. Now, this isn't something you're going to be carrying around every day, but certainly good to have in the door of your vehicle. Like I said, it's 21 inches, and with this one, it's a push button open and closure. So you can use force to open it, or you can just grab it and open it up with your hand. Of course, it has the larger tip, just like the other monadnock. This one's nice, and with the handicap, that's kind of designed so if your hand was sweaty or if you had blood on it, your hand wouldn't slide off. You've got that ledge right here where your hand can lock into it. Unlike the asp baton, when it's extended, they do make caps that'll widen it out, and I do have some of those. I don't have it on this because I kind of like to be able to put this in my pocket and be as sleek as possible. But your hand could slide off of this one, little less likely than with the monadnock. So you can just push the button and pop it closed. This is a 21 inch. This is the typical size law enforcement carries. They do make a 26 inch. Now, just for mess and giggles, I always like the PR-24, which we weren't carrying those at my agency when I went there. I've got one that was given to me. But this is, again, monadnock. It's their PR-24, but it's an expandable PR-24. Actually, I always wanted one of these just to have it. I thought they were kind of cool, and saw one in one of my local surplus stores that I do a lot of shopping at, so they pretty much just gave it to me. So again, you know, you can expand this out, pull it, or use force. And to closure, there's just a little button here on the side. But I also keep this on the back seat of my vehicle. It's nice if you're closed in, there's a crowd around you, you have something like this, and you use force. I can't do it here, it's a little tight. But you expand it out, and you know, you have a nice item here where you can block if somebody's coming at you. You can jab, and there's a whole bunch of different things you can do with this and techniques. You know, but having options when it comes to defense is a good thing, because you don't want to always rely on a firearm or your hands, because some situations you may not be able to use a firearm. It may be excessive force to utilize a firearm. And if that's all you have and you're not good with your hands, being physical, then you've pretty much just limited yourself out to deadly force, in which a situation that may not have been, dictated for that, and you're going to land yourself in some trouble. So the next thing here, and I don't need notes on this item, but I did make some notes on this company. So I did carry one of these in my career, and a lot of you all will know the name of this. It's a Taser. This is the X26P. They do have several newer variants now. I picked this up on a company called Batons. Do a lot of business with them. It was a police trade, brand new, but police trade. So I got it at a super cheap, excellent deal, and several cartridges. You'll notice some of them, it'll be just the grip here, and the battery is inserted here. This is just the battery with the extra mag holder on, cartridge holder on the bottom. That's just how it came. So that's what I went with. This stays in the vault locker in my vehicle. But, the Tasers are a nice option. There's multiple different cartridges you can get. As you can see, these are the silver doors. So these are 21 foot. They've got different color-coded front door of the cartridge, dictates the distance. Go online, watch some videos on Tasers. Like I said, this is the X26P. I like this one. You can still buy some of the older school X26s, and you can even buy the newer ones. This is the law enforcement variant, and the difference between the law enforcement variant and the civilian variant is the law enforcement variant is a 5-second cycle. Once you arm it by pulling that up and then depressing the trigger, it'll be a 5-second ride. The civilian variant, the ride is longer, and that's meant for you to utilize it, deploy it, and then drop it and run. And if you send a police report back to Taser, I believe they're still doing that. They used to do this. You send that police report with the information and that you deployed the Taser and this and that. They will send you a new one. Double check that though before you take my word at it and go out and buy one. But these are really nice because you can get, like with the silver doors, I can do 21 feet between me and the aggressor. Or if they're aggressing and I hit them with this and one of the two prongs doesn't hit right and they get up on me, you won't be able to see it. Actually, I'll step over here real quick. But you'll see right here, there's a little metal piece there and right here, and you can depress this on, excuse me, on their skin, and that'll complete the circuit if they've got one of the prongs in them, and they'll still go for the ride. You can also detach the cartridge, and there's the, again, metal piece here, and you can activate it and pull the trigger and depress it on somebody's skin, and you're utilizing the stun option. You're not tasing them, you're stunning them. So the only area that's really affected is the area that's in contact with this. Unlike if you get your two-prong hit, the area affected is the area that's between the two prongs. So if I get you right here at the belly button, and then I get you down here in your right thigh, the area between the prong, the first prong and the second prong, that entire region is going to be affected by the Taser. The stun gun is only going to affect that local area where you have it depressed and activated. You'll see a lot of times on eBay and Amazon, you'll see the old school little kind of rectangle box that has the probe sticking out of it, and they're like, oh, that's a Taser, that's a Taser. No, that is a stun gun. A Taser deploys the probes. Stun gun is actual contact with the device itself. It's not nearly as effective as a Taser. And along with the Taser, and I'm going to throw some pictures up here in just a second some screenshots I did, because these can still be a little pricey depending on where you purchase them. Bowtac is a great place to go look, but you can go on Amazon and they have one called the Pulse 2, which I'll throw that up in a second. Like I said, it is $3.99. It is a handgun style like this, but it's a lot smaller, different style cartridge and battery. Like I said, it is $3.99, and that comes with the weapon, 2 cartridges, the carrying case, and a conductive target that you can set up like an aluminum foil target with a diagram on it, and you can practice. You can also purchase separate cartridges, and you can purchase Kydex holsters from other companies where you can wear them on your side, appendix carry, or soft holsters where you can also do the same, or you can just place them in a bag, book bag or whatnot. Then they have something called the Pulse 2, which is $4.49, and it doesn't look like a firearm at all. It looks like a rectangled flashlight, probably around this length, and it's rectangled out, and you hold it like this and press the button on it, and it will deploy. That cartridge will deploy, and it has, trying to look here, yeah, and it's quite bulky compared to the Pulse 2, and if the battery, the cartridge holder wasn't on this honestly would be, to me, a lot easier to deal with than that one. But that is $4.49, and I knew they had that one, and a new product I hadn't seen is called the Strike Light 2. That is $1.89. So that is actually a flashlight. Try to find something here. It's a flashlight, and it's about that big around, and so it's got your flashlight function on top, but then the top of it is kind of serrated a little bit, and it's not a actual taser, it is a stun gun. So it's kind of directed towards people that are outside jogging, running, biking, things like that. It has a flashlight option, but then you can depress another button and actually use it as a stun gun. That one is rechargeable, $1.89. The others, the X26, the X26P, the Pulse 2, and the Bolt 2, they utilize a battery, which is, you can pull it out. It's not rechargeable, so you'll have to, once that battery dies, which takes quite a while, you'll have to purchase another battery for that. But the Striker 2 stated it was rechargeable, which is pretty nice, but you're going to have, arm's distance to actually utilize that, just like any other stun gun. You're not going to be able, it doesn't deploy probes or anything. Also, real quick, like with the X26, X26P, and the Pulse 2, let me take the cartridge off. I've got this one set up with the light and the laser. You may not be able to see there we go, the laser, but it's got a laser on it. That laser kind of dictates where that top probe is going to go. And you can cut the light and the laser off, run just the laser, just the light, or both. I always ran both. A lot of that is a really good deterrent. I utilize the taser a handful of times, but really just pulling it out and cutting it on, and people seeing that light and the laser, a lot of times they were kind of like, all right, yeah. Especially if they've had it before. I've had it 3 times, and it's no fun. That function is on several of the items. I do not know. I believe the Bolt 2 may have the laser on it. Don't quote me on that. But I'll throw the pictures up right now and let you all see that, and you can jot the information down, and you can go over to Amazon or wherever and purchase those. I'm not an affiliate of anybody, so I'm not making any money on any of this stuff. I'm just letting you know what I have, some other options you can go by. So let me throw those pictures up for you real quick, and we'll come right back. All right, so on to two more items. Now, I don't have either of these. I've seen them, I've looked at them. I hadn't actually physically held one in person, but I'm gonna tell you about them. And then again, I'm gonna throw some pictures up for you so you can look at those pictures. So the first one is going to be by a company called Brenna. It's a pepper ball slash projectile weapon. It's CO2 operated. It looks like a larger handgun. It is plastic. It is the SD. It is a 68 caliber weapon. Essentially, it's a paintball handgun. And you can pick that up on Amazon. So it's CO2 powered. So you put your CO2 in it. You would handle it just like a firearm. It has your top sights on it, and it shoots 68 caliber pepper balls. So there's a paintball shell essentially, and it's filled with pepper powder, OC powder. And whenever you shoot somebody with it, it hits, the capsule breaks, and that pepper dust goes everywhere, all in their face. I've watched a bunch of videos. It appears to be pretty nice. I thought about getting one just to get it, but I had never done it. And with shooting the pepper balls, you can also purchase the 68 caliber like rubber rounds for it. So instead of shooting the pepper balls, you can shoot a 68 caliber rubber ball projectile and hit somebody with it. And it states you can also use those for training, for shooting targets, try to kind of figure it out and whatnot. But that was $3.99, a little on the pricey side. But then Sabre, which we know they make a lot of OC products, they have their own version of that called the Sabre Home Defense Projectile Launcher. Again, CO2 operated, 68 caliber OC pepper balls, and 68 caliber rubber style projectiles. That one is coming in at $142. It appears that both of them come with all of those items, the magazines, carrying case, things like that. I have seen online that you can purchase like Kydex holsters and things like that for them. I've seen videos, people like those as a less than lethal option. Instead of carrying a firearm, they like that. Options are great, but if you're legally allowed to carry a firearm, then a firearm is one thing I will always have, along with a knife, a flashlight, and, at least some OC spray if I'm in my vehicle. I'm going to have a lot of different options available to me, dependent upon the situation. Large crowds, got my vehicle surrounded, beating on my vehicle. This right here is a great option, for kind of hands off. If I do have to go hands on, something like that. Or this is great if you're trying to fly under the radar. The small can of palm, the 16-inch ass with the pocket clip, or the 12-inch little monadnock, which if I was carrying either of these, I would go with 16-inch asp. A little bit more distance in it, a little better strike. And then one of the last things here, a Remington 870. And as you can see, here it's orange, which dictates less than lethal. This is the mag pull portion. I didn't get the butt end here, which I may do that at some point, but Remington 870 12 gauge, and I keep rubber rounds inside of this. So these are from a Fiatchi law enforcement rubber baton rounds. I picked these up, several large boxes of them. I picked them up at my local gun store I do a lot of business with. They had them, so I grabbed them. And I had an 870, so I just went ahead and ordered the orange portion there to kind of dictate that it is less than lethal. This is a great option. You can go on YouTube and watch videos of the rubber batons or the rubber ball rounds from the 12 gauges. They do make like a beanbag round. I don't know. I've never looked into it. I don't know if the beanbag rounds, if we can go out and purchase them or if they're just law enforcement only. But so I picked these up, and you know, it's just another nice option. And the 12 gauge, it's a fear factor with that. I've gotten out of my patrol fleet multiple times in situations, pulled it out, people see it, and when everyone knows the sound of when you're racking around, just that factor alone, never had to utilize it. Just did that, put it back in the car, and situation pretty much died down, and we were able to do what we needed to do. You know, no one was harmed. But this is also a great option. You know, of course, a little bit more expensive, being a Remington 870 and, you know, those type of rounds. But, you know, you can look around and purchase those rounds online. Your local gun store may have them, and you can use it with just a regular shotgun. But you have to bear in mind, you need a way of making it known that this is less than lethal only. You don't run regular rounds in your less than lethal weapon here. You do not want to take a risk of accidentally putting a actual round in there instead of, you know, like the rubber baton, a less than lethal option. But less than lethal does not mean not deadly. And I'm going to touch on that real quick, and we're going to end it. You hit somebody in the head with this, in the face, in the neck, in the groin, you can cause death. You hit somebody in the head, the neck, the face, the groin with a baton, any type of baton, you can cause death. A lot of agencies, and mine, you hit somebody in the head with this, that's deadly force. You know, so you need to know your laws for where you reside, and you need to use common sense. You know, popping somebody in the face with this, not a great idea. If they're running at you with a gun and pulling the trigger, and this is all you have, you don't have a firearm, then obviously you're going to have to do what you're going to have to do. And also be mindful with the OC spray. Some people may have an allergy, you know, towards peppers. So that could also be an issue. But they're just things to be mindful of. Know your laws. Use common sense. Don't run out and be a dummy. I'm telling you now, don't be dumb. Use common sense. Know your laws and be responsible. Be responsible. I'm a responsible person. You know, I've never had issues with any of these things or throughout my career. I've never had an issue because I use common sense, I know the law, and I'm responsible. But, you know, real quick, I forgot, I'm going to throw those pictures up for you of the 2 pepper ball guns. So we'll be back in just a second. All right, so showed you all those, and this video is kind of long, so we're going to go ahead and cut it out. But you all stay safe, have a great day, and Minuteman out.